Another of my strange, famous movie lines that nobody has any idea why anybody would care about this comes from my cousin Vinny. And in My Cousin Vinny, one of the cross-examinations of the defense was to ask someone who apparently was an eyewitness to a shoplifting how they knew exactly how much time had elapsed. And the question was, so are you telling me that grits cook at a different speed on your stove than anywhere else in the grit eating world? Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast. 5-minute videos, 5 days a week. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. And see, when I hear the word grit, I can only hear it in plural, grits. You know, like that breakfast thing that's somewhere between malto-meal and oatmeal and mortar. Because it just depends on how good you are at making grits as to whether or not it's actually edible. And honestly, I think it takes grit to eat grits. Now, grit, from another standpoint, is about that abrasive. You know, like you think of those facial rubs, like the apricot facial rub. It's got grit in it, and people rub it on their face to take the dead skin off. It's grit. It's like dirt in your lotion, or like little bits of rock in your lotion. It's like the sandpaper that has the paper with sand stuck on it. And the more scratchy it is, the more grit it has. If you have like a 500 grit sandpaper, that's basically emery cloth or a bad hotel towel. But if you have a low grit, it's like kernels of popcorn-sized sand stuck on the paper, and it'll take the paint off or the skin off in the first swipe. Grit. Now, Angela Duckworth has written a book called Grit. And I have to be honest and say I have not yet read the book, but I have spent a lot of time watching the videos that she has done, interviews, and even talked about the book and even taught lessons from the book. And if I'm not mistaken, the whole thing started for her around a TED Talk. But the concept of grit, I grew up with, not calling it grit. I heard it from my grandparents and from my uncles growing up, and from time to time from my mom, I would hear stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. In fact, in a job exit interview one time, someone said of me, he's like a pit bull. Once he gets a hold of an idea, you'll have to break his jaw to get him to let go of it, because he's just going to hold on to it until it's dead or it's done, one or the other. Stick-to-itiveness. If you've got grit as a core value, grit alone it's that perfect blend of passion and persistence, as they say of Angela Duckworth's book. I say it's that perfect blend of determination and discipline that says that I'm doing this, and I don't care about your opinion. I don't care what you think of it. I don't care if you like me or not. I've set my mind to accomplish this goal. I've already determined that this goal is something worthy of my life and that I'm worthy of having it, and I'm going for it no matter what. I don't care what the wind does. I don't care what the storm does. I don't care where the trends of society are going. This is my goal, and that's where I'm going. And that determination and the discipline to get at it every day, no matter what. Even if you try at it and you fail. Even if you push hard and you lose everything. Not quitting has a value to it that far exceeds the little tiny steps of success in the process. The fact that you didn't quit has more value in the long run because it speaks more of your character. Now, there are intelligent times to step back and go, maybe that goal was a bad idea. Maybe that destination really isn't where I want to be. But that's more about assessing the actual outcome of the final goal, not just the pressure you face in trying to achieve it. See, high performance achievers, they don't stop along the way because the going gets tough. If they change direction, it's because the goal is no longer worth pursuing, or because they accidentally accomplished it in the pursuit of something else. But it's not like they back up and simply go, well, that was a little harder than I thought. I think I'll I'll take the goal down a peg or two so that I don't have to work so hard to achieve it. No, they continue to press forward. Another thing you'll notice about people with grit is that sometimes grit is hard to identify. And by that I mean when your grand scheme goal really has 5 or 6 major goals within it, and those 5 or 6 goals to the outsider look so discombobulated that people can't identify, well, that's step 1, and then that's step 2, and I see where they're going. But instead they see, well, there's an idea over there, and you got another idea over here, and they're so scattered they don't really have anything to do with each other. It takes grit to pursue each of those goals, even if it's a little bit of progress here, and a little bit of progress here, and a little bit of progress here, because you're pushing toward all of them because they all fit under that one umbrella. Yeah, see, that's kind of how the way I think. And so sometimes I'm pressing toward a goal, and I push that needle as far as I can. I'm not stopping on that goal. It's kind of in a stewing period. It's like when you're cooking in the kitchen and you've got to let part of it sit, or stick it in the freezer in the blast chiller for a moment in order to go on to the next thing. You know, if you make that cheesecake and you haven't quite finished the topping yet, you can put the cheesecake in the blast chiller to get that nice firm shape to it while you finish up your strawberries. Yeah, see, sometimes goals in life are like that. That didn't mean you gave up on the cheesecake. It just means you understand there's a different part in this process that needs to be done. High performance people, high achievers, they understand that. But when you don't have grit, you might just eat the cheesecake because the strawberries aren't done. Or you give up on the cheesecake and you leave it sitting on the counter until it turns into syrup because you've given up on the goal, not realizing the stages of the goal that have to be completed for the overall goal to be completed. See, grit is that thing that as a core value says, I've latched on to my goal, I've latched on to my idea, and the process might get ugly. In fact, the process might get downright painful. I might lose friends in this process. This journey might cost me popularity. But I am determined, absolutely determined to accomplish this goal. And that determination, along with the discipline to do it, those together, my friend, are stick-to-itiveness or grit. Make it a core value in everything that you do in leadership. Make it a core value even in your relationships. Make grit a core value in your life. Then all of the distractions that the world throws at you, they won't stop you from succeeding. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.